The first round of the 2020 NHL draft has came and gone. If you were somebody that was hoping for a lot of trades and a lot of chaos, you were probably left pretty disappointed. However, there definitely still was a decent amount of surprises in terms of players falling in the draft or players going a lot higher than people expected them to. We're going to review the entire first round in this video. I do want to say I'm not the best when it comes to these prospects. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know every single thing about every player drafted in the first round. I do feel like I know a good bit about a lot of the top guys in the class, but again, I am no expert, so bear with me. I still wanted to come on here, give you guys my review, and kind of just talk about what went down. But real quickly, before we begin, as always, be sure to go follow me on Instagram and Twitter to stay connected. I had a lot of fun tweeting with you guys throughout the first round of this draft. I'm looking forward to talking to you guys and chatting about the picks from rounds 2 through 7 as well. Of course, you can also go check out my gaming channel if that is something that interests you. Links to all of that will be down below in the description, and as always, if you guys are new to this channel and you want to see more NHL content like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And now let's review the first round of the 2020 NHL draft. I'm going to break this up into a couple of parts. Of course, we will start off by taking a look at the top 10 picks, and picks 1 through 3 kind of went as everybody expected. We knew the New York Rangers were going to select Alexis Lafreniere. There was a little bit of question if the LA Kings would go with Quinton Byfield at number 2. Some people thought they would go with Tim Stützle, but of course they did wind up selecting Byfield, which I personally believe is the correct pick. Just the endless amount of potential and how Byfield seemingly just doesn't have a ceiling. Like, there's no telling how good he could be. I feel like that was just way too much to pass up for the Los Angeles Kings. I think the fit of him in LA is amazing as well. I'm interested to see if he does play in the NHL for the 2020-21 season. He is one of the younger players in the draft class, so I wouldn't be surprised if he spends one more year in junior. I guess we'll kind of just have to wait and see what happens there, but man, Kings fans have to be pretty excited about this. And then at number 3, the Ottawa Senators shocked nobody and took Tim Stützle. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't hoping they'd go a different route, so then Stützle would fall to Detroit at number 4, but that was kind of just me dreaming. Deep down, I knew Stützle or Byfield were not going to be available at number 3. While yes, there were a lot of other amazing prospects available, it always just seemed like the inevitable that the top 3 was going to be Lafreniere, Byfield, and Stützle, and of course that is exactly what happened. And talking about Stützle for a second, I know a lot of Ottawa Senators fans were extremely disappointed with how the draft lottery went, and of course they were hoping for the number 1 or at least the number 2 overall pick, but getting a guy like Tim Stützle at number 3 is still huge. He is an amazing player who has franchise player potential. He could wind up being the best player from this draft class, who knows. This might be a bit of a bold take, but I think 2 years from now, Tim Stützle is going to be the best player on the Ottawa Senators. I really do think he is that good. So next, with the 4th overall pick, we saw the Detroit Red Wings select Lucas Raymond. I'm sure a lot of you guys wanted to hear my thoughts on this, and honestly, I'm really happy about it. Heading into the draft, I was really hoping for either Marco Rossi or Lucas Raymond. Now, I'm not gonna lie, Elliot Friedman had me extremely worried. Before Detroit made their pick, while they were on the clock, he tweeted out that he was hearing Detroit is throwing a curveball, so I really had no idea what to expect. Was extremely relieved when I heard from Frölunda Lucas Raymond, which, by the way, I don't think that is a curveball pick whatsoever, so I'm not really sure what Elliot was referring to there. But yeah, Lucas Raymond is a Red Wing. I think immediately he is already the best prospect that the Detroit Red Wings have, and that is including the likes of Moritz Seider, that is including the likes of Filip Zadina, if you still want to consider him a prospect. I've heard nothing but good things about Lucas Raymond. I'm definitely really excited about this pick. We've already learned that he won't be playing in the NHL this upcoming season. He is going to play the entire 2020-21 season with Frölunda, which definitely makes sense and was kind of to be expected. I'd imagine he'll be ready to go for the following season, so for 2021-22, and he will be a welcome addition to the Red Wings. And honestly, similar to what I said about Tim Stützle, I wouldn't be surprised if like 2 years from now, Lucas Raymond is Detroit's best player. Next, at number 5, we saw kind of the first surprising pick of the draft. The Ottawa Senators take defenseman Jake Sanderson out of the US National Development Team program. A lot of us expected Ottawa to take a defenseman here. It's just Sanderson wasn't wasn't exactly the defenseman everybody had in mind. I honestly thought they were going to go with Drysdale, and if not Drysdale, maybe pick up Marco Rossi. So while I definitely was a little bit surprised by this pick, and I'm sure a lot of other people were as well, I would not call this a bad pick by the Ottawa Senators by any means. Jake Sanderson projects to be a really solid top 4 defenseman in the National Hockey League, and while yes, Jake Sanderson doesn't really have the offensive upside like a Jamie Drysdale or have as high of a ceiling as him, he still is a really safe pick in my opinion, and coming out of the top 5 with Stützle and Sanderson, I don't think many Senators fans are going to complain about that. At number 6 is where Jamie Drysdale fell to the Anaheim Ducks, so back-to-back defensemen going here. Jamie Drysdale was somebody we all knew was going to go in the top 7, wasn't really going to go anywhere lower than that. I really do like this pick for the Ducks. When you take a look at their prospect pool right now, they don't really have any blue chip prospects on the blue line. They have some good guys up front with Trevor Zegras, Maxime Comtois, Sam Steele, and those guys. So you'd have to think the Anaheim Ducks are pretty excited getting a player like Jamie Drysdale with the 6th overall pick. And then at number 7, we saw the New Jersey Devils select Swedish winger Alexander Holtz, who is currently playing in the Swedish Hockey League. I had a feeling they were going to take either Holtz or Askarov here. I knew they probably weren't going to take Rossi because they already have centermen like Jack Hughes, of course, who they took number 1 overall last year, and Nico Hischier, who is also a former number 1 overall pick. So Holtz does seem like a good pick for New Jersey. He's somebody I could see playing for them sooner rather than later. I don't think he's too far out from being NHL ready. And then with the 8th overall pick, we saw the Buffalo Sabres select winger from the Ottawa 67's Jack Quinn. Now this one was a little bit of a surprising pick, especially with guys like Marco Rossi and Cole Perfetti both still being available at this point. I saw a lot of Buffalo fans not too happy about this pick, and it is a little bit questionable, but Jack Quinn is still a good prospect. He scored a lot of goals in junior playing alongside Marco Rossi for the 67s. He is one of the older players in this draft class. I think he was like a week or so away from being eligible for last year's NHL draft, where he probably would have only been like a 2nd or 3rd round pick or something. The potential with Jack Quinn is definitely there, and if his goal scoring can transition to the NHL, then one day you might have a great winger to play alongside Jack Eichel who can score a lot of goals, which is definitely what this team needs. I'm really hoping this pick works out for Buffalo because man, has that fan base and that organization been through some tough times. At pick number 9, we saw the Minnesota Wild select Marco Rossi from the Ottawa 67, so he finally went. I'm really surprised that he was still available at number 9, but let me tell you, Bill Guerin has to be extremely excited about this pick. Getting a guy at number 9 who has the potential to be a star number 1 centerman, and if you ask me, that is exactly what this Minnesota Wild team needs. They have some good winger prospects in Kirill Kaprizov and Matthew Boldy, who they selected last year, but down the middle it was definitely looking kind of dry, and Marco Rossi completely changes that. Again, I'm really just surprised he was still there at number 9. This is a great pick for Minnesota. Speaking of being surprised, the Winnipeg Jets select Cole Perfetti with the 10th overall pick, and it's not surprising in the fact that Winnipeg took Cole Perfetti, it's surprising in the fact that he was still available at number 10. This is a guy who a lot of people expected Detroit to take at number 4, and here we are after the draft, he went at number 10 to the Jets. I still can't really wrap my head around that. My buddy who is a Winnipeg Jets fan, we were talking in a PlayStation party while watching the draft, and he was super excited about this. Every time a team didn't draft one of Perfetti or Rossi, he was like, we're gonna get one of these guys, we're gonna get one of these guys. And sure enough, they did. If Cole Perfetti becomes the player that everybody expects him to be at the NHL level, that is just another weapon added to the Winnipeg Jets' already stacked group of young forwards. So that was the top 10. We're now going to take a look at picks 11 through 20, and we are going to go through these ones a little bit quicker because, like I said at the start of the video, I'm just being honest, I don't know as much about the players who were drafted later on in the first round as I do about the guys who were of course drafted in the top 10. So at number 11, we saw the Nashville Predators select goaltender Yaroslav Askarov, and heading into the draft, he was definitely one of the more intriguing prospects because we didn't really have an idea of where he was going to go. Was definitely kind of all over the place in mock drafts. Craig Button had him as a top 5 prospect. He's definitely the best goaltender in this draft class. A lot of people view Askarov as a future franchise goalie, and if that's what happens, if he turns into that, I'm sure Nashville is going to be really happy about this pick. And then with the 12th overall pick, we saw the Florida Panthers select Finnish centerman Anton Lundell, and immediately when they made this pick, the first thing that came to my mind was, well, they already have a pretty good Finnish centerman in Alexander Barkov for Anton Lundell to learn from, so we'll have to wait and see how that dynamic plays out. With the 13th overall pick, we saw Seth Jarvis selected by the Carolina Carolina Hurricanes, and he's somebody I've read and seen a lot of really good things about. He dominated the WHL in the 2019-20 season with 98 points in 58 games. A lot of the guys on the panel on NBC were comparing his play style to Braden Point, and hey, if he turns out to be anything like what Braden Point is, Carolina got a steal with Jarvis. With the 14th overall pick, the Edmonton Oilers selected centerman Dylan Holloway, and he's somebody I don't really know a lot about. He is one of the older players in the draft class, already being 19. He played the 19-20 season with the University of Wisconsin, put up 17 points in 35 games, and I'm guessing he'll probably play there again for this upcoming season. With pick number 15, we saw the Toronto Maple Leafs select Radion Amirov, Russian winger, currently playing in the KHL. That's also where he played in the 2019-20 season. I've seen a lot of people making fun of the Leafs for this pick. I'm not really sure why. Like, did we expect them to draft a defenseman who's going to come in and make an immediate impact or something? Like, there's nobody at number 15 who the Leafs could have taken that would come in and fix their problems right away. Amirov is a really good prospect. Having just turned 19 years old on the 2nd of October, he already has 5 points in 10 KHL games this season. 16th overall, the Montreal Canadiens selected defenseman Caden Gooley. I'm not really familiar with him. He put up some pretty solid totals in the WHL as a defenseman, so we'll have to just kind of wait and see how that draft pick plays out. 17th overall, we saw the Chicago Blackhawks draft German winger Lukas Reichel. He played last season in the DEL and put up 24 points in 42 games. That's a pretty solid league, and as a teenager putting up those numbers, definitely not bad. With the 18th overall pick, we saw the New Jersey Devils select Dawson Mercer. This was the pick that New Jersey acquired in the Taylor Hall trade. It was the second of 3 first-round picks they had in the first round. I am a little bit familiar with Dawson Mercer because he played for Team Canada in the most recent World Junior Tournament. This was kind of the area a lot of people expected him to go and where I seen him going in a lot of mock drafts, so no real big surprise here. 19th overall was originally supposed to belong to Calgary, but they traded down. The Rangers acquired this pick and then sent their 22nd overall pick along with a third to Calgary. The Rangers would wind up using this pick to select defenseman Braden Schneider of the Brandon Wheat Kings, so New York must have really liked him, trading up to draft him. So not a bad night for the Devils, getting Alexis Lafreniere and then Braden Schneider. With their third and final first round pick, this is the one they acquired in the Blake Coleman trade. The New Jersey Devils went off the board a little bit and drafted defenseman Shakir Mukhamadullin. Hopefully I'm saying that name properly, but it's a pretty long name. He's a big defenseman, 6'4", 178 pounds. He's putting up some pretty solid numbers to start the KHL season from the blue line with a goal and 5 assists for 6 points in 14 games. So definitely not a bad night for the Devils, getting Mukhamadullin, Dawson Mercer, and Alexander Holtz. 21st overall, now this was a pretty big surprise and off the board pick. The Columbus Blue Jackets decided to go with Yegor Chinnikov, Russian winger currently playing in the KHL. I believe Bob McKenzie didn't even have him in his top 100, which is pretty crazy, and Blue Jackets GM Jarmo Kekalainen said he was actually in their top 10. I'm not really familiar with this player, but hey, if it turns out to be a good pick, the Blue Jackets are going to look like geniuses. The 22nd overall pick was supposed to be made by the Calgary Flames, but they once again traded down. The Washington Capitals acquired the 22nd overall pick from them in exchange for the 24th pick and also a third round pick, 80th overall. So after trading up to 22nd overall, the Washington Capitals used this pick to select centerman Hendrix Lapierre, currently playing for Chicoutimi in the QMJHL. Lapierre became one of the biggest storylines as he continued to slip in the draft. Pierre Maguire was getting pretty fired up about it. He wanted somebody to draft this guy and was pretty happy when the Capitals did. The biggest reason for Lapierre falling in the draft is the uncertainty surrounding his health. He's had 3 concussions playing in the QMJHL, didn't play a lot last season, and that's definitely a red flag, but the potential is certainly there, and if he stays healthy, this could wind up being a steal of a draft pick by the Capitals. 23rd overall, we saw the Philadelphia Flyers select Tyson Forster, winger for the Barrie Colts. He put up 80 points in 62 games in the 2019-20 season, so some pretty solid totals. Other than that, I'm not really too familiar with this player, so we'll have to wait and see how that pick turns out. 24th overall, the Calgary Flames finally selected a player after trading down twice, and they went with Connor Zary, who played for the Kamloops Blazers over the past 3 seasons in the WHL. Put up some pretty big numbers in 19-20 for Kamloops with 86 points in 57 games. I saw a lot of Calgary Flames fans on Twitter pretty excited about this pick, so that's nice to see. With the 25th overall pick, we saw the Colorado Avalanche select defenseman Justin Barron from the Halifax Mooseheads. He's a guy who slipped a little bit in the draft due to the uncertainty around his health. When healthy, he is a really good player. I'm obviously a big fan of him being from Halifax. I like all the Moosehead guys, and Colorado must like the Nova Scotian guys too. They got Nathan McKinnon now, Ryan Graves, Shane Bowers, and now Justin Barron, all players from Nova Scotia. At this point, it seems like Colorado is just stockpiling them. But anyways, 26th overall, we saw the St. Louis Blues select Jake Neighbors, winger from the WHL. Was over a point a game for the Edmonton Oil Kings. Other than that, don't really know much about him. With the 27th overall pick, the Anaheim Ducks selected winger Jacob Perreault out of the OHL. Produced some pretty solid offensive numbers in the 1920 season, albeit it was on a pretty awful Sarnia Sting team. With the 28th overall pick, the Ottawa Senators' third and final first round pick of the night, they selected Ridley Gregg, another player out of the OHL. So not a bad first round haul for the Ottawa Senators, getting Tim Stützle 3rd overall, Jake Sanderson 5th overall, and then of course Ridley Gregg with the 28th overall pick. With the 29th overall pick, the Vegas Golden Knights selected American Brendan Brisson, who played for the Chicago Steel in the USHL. It was nice to see another American player go in the first round. There wasn't really that many this year, after last year's draft was dominated by American players from the US National Development Team. With pick number 30, the Dallas Stars selected centerman Maverick Bourque, playing for Shawinigan in the Q, had 71 points in the 2019-20 season and has 1 point through 2 games to start this season. And then last but not least, the San Jose Sharks selected Ozzy Weisblatt out of the WHL with the 31st overall pick, and this was actually one of my favorite moments of the entire night. His mother is actually deaf, and when Sharks director of scouting Doug Wilson went up to make the selection, he used American Sign Language to announce it, which was a really cool gesture I found. And by the way, Ozzy Weisblatt is an incredible hockey name. But that wraps up my recap and review of the first round of the 2020 NHL Draft. Those were all the players selected last night. If your team did have a first round pick, be sure to let me know all your thoughts down below in the comment section. Did you like the pick? Did you not like it? Give me your reasons why. And yeah, that is going to wrap up this video. I really hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, please be sure to drop a like on it. That is the best way to show your support. And as always, if you guys are new to the channel and you want to see more NHL content like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'm sure I'll see you guys in some type of news video later on in the day, because I got a feeling a couple of trades are going to happen.